In the far future, when the galaxy was mapped, measured, and ranked, there were very few surprises left. Every star system had a number. Every species had a value. Every living being, from the largest empire to the smallest colony worker, existed inside a massive network of records that decided who mattered and who did not. That system did not make mistakes. At least, that was what the galaxy believed. On the edge of a forgotten star route, far from trade lanes and political borders, there was an old relay station floating in silence. Long ago, this relay guided ships through unstable space currents. Without it, thousands of vessels would have been lost. But time changed everything. New engines were built, faster paths were discovered, the relay became unnecessary, so it was abandoned, power levels were reduced, maintenance crews stopped coming, updates stopped arriving. Eventually, even the automated systems marked the station as inactive. To the galaxy, it no longer existed, but she still lived there. She moved slowly through the empty halls, her footsteps soft against cold metal floors. The lights flickered when she passed, responding more to habit than command. She had learned which corridors still had air, which doors no longer sealed properly, which machines would fail if touched. She had been assigned to the relay when she was young. Back then, her species was respected. They were navigators gifted with a natural sense for space distortions. Where others saw chaos, they saw patterns. The galaxy depended on them, then the galaxy learned to depend on machines instead. At first, her people were still needed. Then less, then not at all, their contracts ended. Their worlds received fewer visitors, their names appeared less often in records. Slowly, quietly, they faded. She did not know when she became the last one. No announcement was made. No message arrived saying her people were gone. One day, she simply realized that no one answered her reports anymore. The channel was open but empty. She kept sending updates anyway. It felt wrong to stop. Every day followed the same routine. She checked the relay systems, even though no ships used them. She adjusted power levels to prevent total shutdown. She logged reports that no one read. She spoke to the station's artificial voice, even after it stopped responding. She told herself that duty did not disappear just because witnesses did. Food supplies were limited. She learned how to ration, how to grow small nutrient cultures in unused chambers. Her body grew thinner, her movements slower, but she survived. Time passed in a way that was hard to measure. Without visitors, without messages, days blended into each other. She marked cycles by the dimming and brightening of the local star through the station's viewing window. Sometimes she wondered if she still existed at all. The galaxy had a rule: anything unrecorded was functionally invisible. If her species no longer existed in the archives, then to the universe, she was nothing more than static noise. She accepted that thought with quiet sadness, not anger. Her kind had always been gentle. They believed that usefulness defined purpose. If they were no longer useful, then perhaps this was simply the end. Still, she waited. One cycle, something changed. A distant vibration passed through the station, so faint that at first she thought it was another system failure. Then the sensors reacted. Old alarms tried to wake up, coughing out weak signals. A ship was approaching. Her hands trembled as she accessed the external scans. The data was unclear. The station's systems were too old, too damaged, but the mass signature was real. A vessel was entering the system. No one came here. No one had come for a very long time. She adjusted the relay's external lights, forcing them on with manual overrides. They flickered weakly, but they shone. She did not know why she did it. Habit, perhaps. Or hope she no longer admitted to herself. The ship slowed as it approached the relay. On board the vessel, the human exploration crew studied their screens. Their mission was simple: survey ignored systems, update records, and move on. These were low-priority assignments given to ships without political importance. The relay station barely registered on their scans. "It's marked as dead," one officer said. "No activity for centuries." "Then why is there a power fluctuation?" another asked. The human systems officer leaned closer to his display. He was not the highest-ranked crew member. He was not known for ambition, but he had a habit that set him apart from others. He noticed small things. "There's a life signal," he said slowly. The bridge went quiet. "That's impossible," the captain replied. "Run the scan again." The results did not change. A single, weak biological signature pulsed from inside the station. Standard protocol was clear. Anomalies in abandoned systems were often sensor errors. Investigating them wasted time and fuel. The report could simply mark the signal as false and move on. The captain hesitated. Before she could decide, the human officer spoke again. If it's a mistake, we lose nothing by checking. If it's not, someone has been alone out there for a very long time. Silence followed. Then the captain nodded. Prepare a shuttle. Inside the relay, she felt the vibration grow stronger. A small craft detached from the larger ship and moved toward the docking ring. The station's old system struggled to respond. The docking clamps engaged with a sound like a tired breath. She stood near the airlock, unsure what to do. Her reflection stared back at her from a dark panel. She looked older than she remembered. Smaller, fainter. When the door opened, fresh air rushed in, cleaner than anything she had breathed in years. The human stepped inside slowly, his movements careful, respectful. His suit lights illuminated the empty corridor, revealing peeling panels and silent machines. He did not raise a weapon. He did not speak at first, then he saw her. She froze, so did he. For a moment neither moved. The universe seemed to hold its breath. You're alive, the human said softly. She nodded, unsure how to respond. Her voice had not been used in conversation for so long. Yes, she said, I am. The human lowered his helmet, revealing a face marked not by fear but by shock and something deeper. Sadness, perhaps. How long have you been here? He asked. She thought about the question. Time had lost meaning, but she tried. A very long time, she answered. He looked around the station, at the decay, at the effort it must have taken to keep it running. Why didn't you leave? He asked. She tilted her head slightly. This was my duty. The word felt heavy in the air. He checked his wrist display, pulling up records, species data, station logs, historical archives. Nothing came up. There was no record of her kind, no mention of navigators like her, no assignment logs linking anyone to this relay. To the galaxy, she did not exist. The human's hands tightened. What is your name? He asked. She hesitated. Her people believed names mattered only if spoken by others. She said it anyway. He repeated it carefully, making sure to say it correctly. Something in her chest tightened at the sound. No one had spoken her name in longer than she could remember. I'm here because my people were forgotten, she said quietly, as if explaining the weather. And when they were forgotten, so was I. The human looked at her for a long time. No, he said, you were abandoned. There was a difference. She did not argue. She had accepted her reality long ago. Acceptance was easier than hope. He contacted his ship, reporting the discovery. There was disbelief, confusion, questions he could not answer yet. Stay with her, the captain finally said. We'll figure this out. He turned back to her. We're not leaving you here, he said. She smiled faintly. It was not a smile of joy, but of disbelief. Everyone else did, she replied. Humans don't like unfinished stories, he said. She did not understand what that meant, but the words felt warm. As they talked, he listened, truly listened. She told him about her species, their work, their slow disappearance. She did not accuse. She did not blame. She spoke as if describing a tide that came and went. The human recorded everything, not because it was required, because it mattered. Outside, the larger ship waited. Inside, a forgotten being spoke her truth to someone who refused to look away. And somewhere in the vast data networks of humanity, a new record began to form, one that said a simple, powerful thing. Someone was here, and this time they would not be erased. The human ship stayed in the system longer than planned. That alone was unusual. Survey missions were designed to be fast. Record, verify, leave. Fuel, time, and attention were considered too valuable to spend on dead places. But this place was no longer dead. It had never truly been dead. It had simply been ignored. The human systems officer returned to the relay again and again, bringing supplies, tools, and something even rarer, conversation. Other crew members followed, slowly at first, then with growing curiosity. She watched them with quiet wonder. Humans moved differently than other species, she remembered. They touched things gently, even broken things. They asked questions that had no clear use. They laughed softly in empty halls as if sound itself deserved company. For the first time in longer than she could remember, the station felt alive. The human officer sat across from her in the old command chamber, listening as she spoke. He never rushed her, never looked at the clock. He recorded her words, her memories, her people's history, even the small traditions that seemed meaningless to the galaxy's cold logic. These matter, he told her when she hesitated. Details are how we remember. She did not fully understand, but she trusted him. When the data packets were sent back to human space, the response was not what the rest of the galaxy expected. There was no debate about usefulness. There was no question of value. There was outrage. Human networks lit up with her story, not as a report, but as a shared memory. Humans read about a being who had kept working after the universe stopped watching. About a species erased not by violence but by neglect. About duty carried alone in silence. They reacted in a way the galaxy had never seen before. They cared. Messages poured in, not demands. Not threats, questions, offers, names. Artists painted her relay station. Children asked why she was alone. Engineers asked how the relay still functioned. Historians searched old records for any trace of her people. They found fragments, broken references, deleted paths. Proof that forgetting was a choice. The human ship received new orders. They were no longer surveying, they were staying. The captain addressed the crew with a seriousness that carried weight. "This station is now under human protection," she said, "and so is its last guardian." She listened from the doorway, unsure how to react. Protection was not something her people ever expected. They had always protected others. "You don't have to stay here," the human officer told her gently. "You can come with us." She looked around the station. The walls she knew by touch, the machines she kept alive with patience and care. Leaving felt like betrayal. "This place is all I have," she said. He nodded. "Then we'll make sure it's not all you ever have." Human engineers began repairing the relay, not because it was needed, but because it existed. They restored systems the galaxy had marked as obsolete. They strengthened life support. They reopened communication arrays. When other species noticed the activity, confusion spread. Why were humans investing resources into something with no strategic value? Why protect a single forgotten being? The Alliance questioned it formally. The human response was simple. "She exists." That answer did not satisfy the galaxy's logic, but it satisfied something else. Other forgotten signals began to surface. Old outposts, silent stations, abandoned colonies. Humans checked them all, not because they were ordered to, because now they were looking. She watched the galaxy change from a small viewport, her world growing larger by the day. Ships came that were not human. Some came out of curiosity, some out of shame. A few came to apologize. She did not demand apologies. She accepted them quietly. Her people had never believed in punishment, only remembrance. When the Alliance finally updated its records, it did so carefully. New categories were created, not based on usefulness but existence. The human representative spoke before the council. "We do not measure life by efficiency," she said. "We measure it by presence. If someone is here, they matter." The galaxy did not fully understand humanity, but it learned to stop ignoring them. On the day she left the relay for the first time, she stood at the airlock and placed her hand on the wall. She thanked it softly for keeping her alive. The human officer waited patiently. "Are you ready?" he asked. She nodded. As the ship pulled away, she did not feel loss. She felt something new, continuation. On a human world, she was given a place to stay, not a display, not a museum, a home. She learned new languages. Shared old stories, watched humans argue, forgive, and rebuild. Sometimes she stood under an open sky and looked at the stars. They no longer felt distant. She was not remembered because she was useful. She was remembered because a human chose to care. And because of that choice, the galaxy would never forget the quiet ones again.